On Friday, President Trump proudly proclaimed that the United States government has taken a 10% interest in Intel, the technology company. To that, Senator Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, said the following: if socialism is government owning the means of production, wouldn't the government owning part of Intel be a step toward socialism? Terrible idea. And then Jessica Tarlov of Fox News' The Five said, I don't want to hear a single word about Democrats and socialism ever again. Period. All caps. Ever. What do you think, Jeffrey, about the United States government taking a 10% interest in Intel?
That's a lot of high dudgeon. And I don't disagree with what Rand is saying, but I do want to make 2 points. One is that the U.S. government pays billions upon tens of billions of dollars to private companies all the time. I mean, Amazon is massively subsidized by the government. So is SpaceX. So are so many companies. I mean, there's so many companies that are subsidized by the U.S. government. I mean, is that socialism? Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah, sort of. I mean, if suddenly the government is a relevant customer, even the dominant customer of a particular enterprise, that's socialistic, and I think that needs to be decried too. So there's nothing unique about what Trump is doing here. And I'll say a second point, which I would be curious about your response to this. Again, I'm against this. On the other hand, would it be better for the U.S. government to just no strings attached bail out Intel? Here's your billions and tens of billions of dollars. Do with what you want. I mean, is that a better solution where you're throwing good money after bad all the time? On the other hand, and what Trump's trying to do, and I kind of get it, it's like if taxpayers are going to be on the hook for this company, then taxpayers also need to have some stakeholder relationship with the company. And yeah, it's not taxpayers directly, it's the public purse. But maybe it's a winning investment. I mean, it's hard to know in advance. Intel seems like a losing company, but maybe this investment works. Again, I don't like this, but it's number one, it's hardly new. And is it arguably an improvement over just throwing good money after bad with no strings attached? I don't know. I just it's an argument worth having.
And I think let's have that argument because I actually think you nailed it. That's where I am. Look, let's start with the fruit of the poisonous tree. Let's start with the original sin. And that is the government playing a game of picking winners and losers when it comes to private industry, which we've been doing for quite some time. Of course, everybody's most famous example is when we bail out the banks in 2009, but we do it all the time. And it's not just tax credits, it's subsidies. We subsidize industries. And we have been for quite some time. Was that a step towards socialism? Yeah. It was, and we continue to do it. And again, it's not just tax subsidies. It is grants. We literally grant money to companies for development, for whatever it may be. And one could argue, and Rand Paul should argue at that point, that is socialism. But here's much like the flag burning, reading underneath the headline of what has actually been done with Intel. The United States government was granting billions and billions of dollars of money to Intel. It was going in the form of government grants. As you point out, that's a no strings attached gift of money of the American taxpayer. This has been converted into a 10% equity stake for the American taxpayer. Now, it's a minority interest for the United States government. As I understand it, they don't have any board representation. They're not going to have any big voting interest. They simply have converted the grants into something that has an upside for the American taxpayer. Instead of giving away our money while they pick winners and losers, maybe our debt and deficit can be reduced or our tax coffers benefit from the upside of an investment in Intel. I don't like it philosophically and principally, but that philosophy and principle has been long in the rearview mirror. It's like way past. And this just seems like a better deal for the taxpayer.
Well, I completely agree with everything you just said, and I think you and I are on the same page on this country. But it was the same way with the railroads in the 1860s, and this stuff began a long time ago with U.S. government investing in certain companies in what they perceived as the national interest. I take Amtrak all the time. I'm sure you do also. If you spend any time in the Northeast Corridor, Amtrak is a great blessing. Well, I mean that's a government investment. Would it exist without government? I don't know. It's an empirical question. I don't really know. But I'm against all these kind of things. On the other hand, let's not act as if there's no precedent for it. And I'm not sure if maybe what Trump is doing here is an improvement over what has been the long tradition, which is to throw away taxpayer money on losing companies in the game of subsidizing them. There's another factor here, too, that you and I should mention, which is that there is a perception of a national security issue behind this Intel investment. Look, China is cleaning our clock, and many other countries on these advanced technology investments. The U.S. has definitely fallen behind. The COVID period assured that was going to be true forever, for reasons we can talk about some other time. But that sort of secured it. The U.S. is behind. This is an attempt by Trump to bolster American industry mainly for purposes of, I don't know, national greatness, but there also is an element here of perceived national security. I can disagree with that, but that is the rationale, that is the thinking. Here again, it's just exactly like the flag thing. It's best to calm down, look at the details, consider the options that are on the table, not comparison of my utopia and your utopia against some ghastly dystopia, right? But let's look at the practicalities on the ground and do a rational assessment thing of it. And in this case, I'm not prepared to say that this Intel strategy is on its face evil and absurd compared to what the alternatives would be.